Graduation is a milestone that marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. It's a moment filled with joy, pride, and anticipation. When someone walks up to accept their high school diploma, it's a culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. For a lot of people here, they're simply attending another graduation. And in the past, the four of you have attended many graduations of other students. Today is different. Today is your day of success and accomplishment. You four were in 8th grade when I started teaching at Melita, which has given me the privilege of watching you go from these young, crazy 8th graders to these older, wiser, and probably crazier 12th graders. From 1st to 12th grade, you have spent roughly 12,240 hours at school. You did countless assignments and numerous hours of homework. Excellent work. Being your GO for the last 2 years has been an honor. We've had our moments and we've not had our moments. I'd like to take this time to publicly thank you for the beautiful t-shirt you purchased for me back in October. I will cherish it forever. You guys have set the expectation high when it comes to a graduating class. You were incredible seniors and you led well at school. You guys have earned today, and I'm proud of each one of you. So with no further hesitation, let's get you graduated and on to your next adventure. Israel Koblenz, described by his classmates as capable, confident, and level-headed. I want to start by forgiving you, and for what you may ask. The first thing is for putting our golf scorecard on your graduation table, and the second is for running just a little bit too fast. Thank you for the card you gave me this morning. I wish everyone could read it because it speaks to the incredible young man that you are. You were always so engaged during recess games, and the determination to win showed in many ways. God loves your determination. Allow him to shape it and use it as determination to add souls to his kingdom. Love God, serve people, and never stop. It is with great joy that I give to you, Israel Luke Koblenz, this high school diploma awarded by Melita Christian School. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the other graduates. And since I'm going first, they made me welcome you all, so they didn't have to welcome you. So, as I was writing this speech, I couldn't help but have the feeling of gratitude. So first off, I want to thank all the teachers, both those who taught me and those who didn't teach me. You played a big part in my school life, and I don't think I could thank any of you all enough for that. My last couple years as a student here, I more or less got to see what goes into being a teacher. The dedication, hard work it takes amazes me every day. And yeah, without teachers, this wouldn't be such a thing as school. So I don't think I can thank any of you enough for that. I want to give a special thank you to another teacher. I think Alan, you were a great example of what hard work, dedication, and consistency can result in life. You taught so many lessons that meant so much more to me than just an ordinary school lesson, and yeah, I don't think I can thank you enough for that either. Another special thank you to Nick for taking control of our classroom and teaching us. You did great, and I'm very, very happy to have you as teacher. I also want to thank the great oppressor himself, Austin, for taking charge of the school as principal, and very excited to see where the school heads from here. So, as I was thinking back to past school memories or experiences, one thing that really stood out to me was classes, mainly our classes in high school. Whether it was biology or chemistry, where we would talk about absolutely everything except for our lessons. Or maybe it was physical science class where, as you'll learn later, we learned pretty quickly that Megan's sense of physics is just slightly off from a normal person's. History class is always a favorite of mine, and this year our Jeopardy competitions, I think they only got out of hand a couple of times, but they're very competitive, and yes. But for all that, I mostly have my classmates to thank for that, because without that, school would be, and classes would just be pretty boring. And personally, I don't think I could have picked a better group of people than to go through school with than you three. A big lesson that I learned from school, or a principle that I learned, is that you sow what you reap. Or, in other words, if you want to enjoy school, you have to try. If you want to have lots of friends, you have to be a friend. And if you want a good test score, you better believe you got to study for that thing. You will, and if I want anything or any younger student to take away from my speech, is that you will only get out of school as much as you put into it, and I don't think I can stress that enough for those of you who are going through school. Another thing I suggest to younger students is to not be afraid to push yourself. Don't be afraid to try something hard. Don't be afraid to try something that will stretch you, because when you do things that do that, it pushes you to do better, and you learn a lot about yourself, and it definitely prepares you for harder things that go on later in life. As for future plans for me, I don't exactly have anything extravagant planned for the next couple of years, but for now I will be working construction with my brothers, so hopefully that will be a good time. Any prayers, words of advice, or encouragement as I start life after school definitely will not be turned down, and honestly I just pray that as I continue the next life that I can be the person that God has made me to be. Well, guys, we finally made it through school, and we even survived in the process. And now, as our theme tonight goes, I think that we are ready to begin another adventure. Thank you.
Megan Yoder, described by her fellow classmates as genuine, empathetic, and merry. You bubble and pop, just like bubble tea. And bubble tea is cool, so I guess that means you're also cool. I appreciate the energy and blondness that you added to MCS. I enjoyed watching you and Reagan stroll into my classroom knowing some request was about to be made. You influence the people around you heavily, and I know you will allow your Heavenly Father to use that influence to add people to His kingdom. Love God, serve people, and never stop. It is with great joy that I give to you, Megan Angelina Delight Yoder, this high school diploma awarded by Melita Christian School. Congratulations.
So, second grade me kind of thought this day would never come. I mean, 10 years in the future when I'm 18, that's kind of insane. Plus, I didn't really want to give a speech in front of hundreds of people, and that was terrifying. But actually, it's not that bad. So, so when my parents first told little 7-year-old me that I would be starting second grade here at Melita, I was kind of terrified. I loved being homeschooled, and I didn't know any of these strange people. But of course, I obviously came to school, and only a few weeks into school, I vividly remember telling my mom that I loved school so much that I wished it would be on Saturdays too. But needless to say, my high school self is very grateful it isn't that way. I'm thankful that I was able to come to school because it kind of unlocked the extroverted, people-loving part of myself, and I genuinely don't think that I would have the same personality had I continued to be homeschooled and not had the experiences that I had at school. So my first year in Lois's room, second grade, was a very great experience for me. I not only learned schoolwork, but I learned how to make friends and how to relate to people. This is when I met Reagan and Laura, who sadly couldn't make it today, but yes, Lois was a fantastic first teacher. My next 2 years in Katie's room, third and fourth grade, were kind of chaotic. Not because Katie was unorganized. In fact, she did very well in keeping us in line, but because we had a very lively group of kids squished in one little classroom. We were always laughing about something and doing stuff we probably weren't supposed to. Third and fourth grade was also my pink era, if anybody remembers that beloved pink jacket that I never stopped wearing. And I distinctly remember innocently standing in the classroom as Izzy thought it would be hilarious to put a worm on my head, and I screamed a lot about that because I was a worm. Anyway, the next 2 years in Rodney's room was fifth and sixth grade. Those were definitely some of my favorite years of my younger years, and we actually started out fifth grade in the storage room of the gym, of all places. But it was actually very cozy because we would turn off all the lights, close the doors, and light our candles during story time. But soon we moved out into the mobile classroom. Rodney put a lot of effort into making stuff fun for us, and we were always doing something interesting. We grew a lot of stuff. We grew corn and buckeyes and strawberries and sprouts and even crystals. He took us into his woods and let us hunt for antlers that he had hidden. I don't remember why we did that, but we did, and it was so much fun. He even taught us how to carve wooden spoons and wood burn a plaque for our moms for Mother's Day. And we did like 90% of it ourselves. That was so cool. These years will always be very near and dear to my heart. In seventh grade is when I moved up into Alan's room, and that was pretty scary because for some reason Alan's room was just terrifying to me. Laura had just moved to Arkansas, and so it was just the four of us now. But the 5 years that I had Alan as a teacher were so, so good. I can't think of a specific story or an instance that I can say of why I appreciated Alan, but it was just a combination of how he taught, the little words of wisdom he would tell us, and answering our many, many questions. And I just want to say thank you for all the work you put into the Christmas parties and the sleepover you had for us last summer for your last years being a teacher. Every year I came back into high school was new. Jerica and Caitlin came in 8th grade, and they brought a lot of light to our classroom. But then back to 11th grade, it was just us four again. I can't remember everything that happened these past 5-ish years, but some of my favorite moments were definitely in science class. We probably should have had supervision when we were doing experiments, but then we wouldn't have had all of our many soap fights and daring each other to eat and drink very clearly poisonous stuff, or the time that I nearly burnt Logan's eyebrows off. Sean taught our chemistry class last year, and even though chemistry kind of sucked, the class was so much fun, and we had so many inside jokes, and yeah, I also might have been very blonde at the physical science class, as you will hear later on. So my senior year with Nick was a very unique year. A new teacher is always something to get used to, but I will say that it was Nick did very well, and we were always doing something fun. These past few weeks of hunting for clues and figuring out riddles were awesome. And spying on the bald eagle across the road and going up to see the swarm of bees he was catching was very, very cool. I also need to mention my 6th grade math class that I taught. They told me that I had to mention them in their speech or else they wouldn't come to my graduation. So I just want to say that it was a lot of fun teaching you guys. I don't know where you all are sitting, but I hope that you learned math and you didn't just talk about stuff all the time. But yes, you were a joy to teach. I don't really have any fantastic plans now that I'm graduated, but I get to be here with some really awesome friends and people, and I trust that God will lead me where I need to go. And I just also want to say that I'm very happy to now be free from the great oppressor's reign. So, thank you.
Logan Miller, described by his fellow classmates as energetic, humorous, and resilient. You're a fine young man whose humor and charisma are enjoyed by those around you. You added life and laughter in your classroom and at recess time. Thank you for taking joy with you as you interacted with my junior high students. When it comes to improving your skills in volleyball and basketball, you lack no discipline, which brings joy in the eyes of your Creator because he desires to watch you take that discipline and fully devote your life to his kingdom and the adventure that he wants to take you on. Love God, serve people, and never stop. It is with great joy that I give to you, Logan Samuel Miller, this high school diploma awarded by Melita Christian School. Congratulations.
It feels like in the past 3 months, I've been asked if I'm excited to graduate about 1 million times. Each time I get asked, I never know what to say. On one hand, I won't miss all the hard work I put in, or the mild sense of guilt I get from not doing my homework. But on the other hand, I would definitely miss all the fun times we had together. Like when Alan would send us down to the kitchen alone and unsupervised to do science experiments that usually took about twice as long as they should have. Or the bus rides to and from honor rolls and field trips. Some of my first memories of school would probably be in kindergarten when Carolyn had Daniel bring in pizza for a little pizza party. I don't remember much from those times, but that's one thing I do remember. Some more would be when Lois had that little store that we could earn money by doing good on tests and quizzes. And then we'd go buy toys, candy, and stuff. One of my prouder moments from my younger years was a time in Katie's room where we were having story time outside, and I really didn't want to for some reason. So I sat behind her and took water from my water bottle and spritzed it on her to make her think it was raining. And somehow this worked, and we moved inside. I don't know if she knew. I don't know if I've told her, but I'm sorry. I'm sure I wasn't the greatest kid back then. 5th and 6th grade is when I really started to enjoy school. Rodney was my teacher these years, and as Megan said, we were in the storage room for the first 2 quarters of these years. He was a very creative and hands-on teacher, and we, as Megan said again, wood burnt like animals onto slices of wood, and that was kind of awesome. We also made spatulas. I don't think they were spoons. And we gave those to our mothers for Mother's Day. 7th through 12th were my best years of school. These were the years I actually started to care about my grades, and I was actually able to do okay. Though being the first boy after 3 straight A sisters wasn't always easy, it was okay. Some of my favorite memories were the biology and chemistry classes Sean taught. We would always find one bunny trail or another to shoot down. We would talk about basically anything. Another was when we would study history together and, of course, make it a competition. All the walks we went on for devotions, and, of course, the Talktionary we played. Probably my favorite part of school would be from 11:30 to 12 every Tuesday. For those of you who don't know, that's when hot lunch is. I want to thank all the moms from the bottom of my heart for all the food you made. It was probably my favorite part of school. Really, lunchtime in general was fun. The conversations we would have would range from anything from what you did the previous night to whether you could kill somebody with a plastic fork. I would like to thank my parents for all the sacrifices they made to send me to a private school, for helping me study when I was younger, and for pushing me to do better when I was older. I also want to thank all the many teachers I've had over the years. I probably wasn't the easiest kid to teach, didn't always pay attention or listen fully in class, but I will never forget the life lessons you taught me inside and out of the classroom.
All right, last but not least, Reagan Hostetler. Described by her fellow classmates as clever, confident, and competitive. You are a young lady of elegance and artistic talent. You were always the one with a positive attitude, no matter what the circumstances were, and you never complained. You coveted the Friday afternoons when you could read your book instead of exercising. The high school classroom has been blessed with your presence and ability and stability the last 4 years. You did a fantastic job student teaching, and don't be surprised if MCS comes knocking on your door to ask you to fill a position at school. Continue in your confidence in whom God has made you to be. Love God, serve people, and never stop. It is with great joy that I give to you Reagan Marie Hostetler this high school diploma awarded by Melita Christian School. Congratulations.
Good evening. I'm quite happy to be here tonight. This is a very long-awaited moment for me. My school years started off many, many years ago in February. There was a chilly February morning when there was one little girl who was very excited to start the day because it was an extra special day. She was going to kindergarten, as I'm sure most kids are excited when they get to go, because I know I was. It was a very, very exciting experience for me. It was just me and my two classmates, Logan and Laura. We had a great time with Carolyn as our teacher, many, many different things that we did. I don't even remember all of them. I just know that they were good times, you know. We stayed as 3 for first grade in Lois's room until Megan joined us in 2nd grade, and then Izzy joined us in 3rd grade. I like to say that Logan and I are the OGs, while Megan and Izzy are just imposters because, you know, we're really the only ones who were here from the beginning. So, and, you know, Laura's not here now, but she's here in spirit. Yes, I can say I'm glad for what our grade has been these past 3 years. It has made for some very fun times. I feel very blessed to have gone through school with you guys. It was very, very good. I don't think we were always the most well-behaved group of students, but I guess you'd have to ask our teachers that. Going through school, we had several different teachers. I can say I enjoyed being under all of them. Miss Lois, she was always a fun time. You never knew what next adventure she'd take you on. We had lots of different parties, things we did. Katie kept us very entertained. I feel like we did a lot of creating in her classroom with art and stories, and it was just so, so good. Rodney was a very interesting teacher. He was definitely, for a couple years there, he stayed as one of my favorite teachers. Because we did so many different things in his classroom. You know, you never knew what you'd do. You expected the unexpected with Rodney. We did picking up trash, we wood burned, we carved, we planted, we cooked, we grew all manner of things. So they were some very fun years. The move to Alan's classroom was done with a bit of trepidation on my part. To me, Alan was still that scary upper grade teacher from my younger years, but honestly, it didn't take very long in his class. Sorry, you weren't that scary, but it didn't take very long in his classroom to realize that it was not scary. Now, Alan was he was my favorite teacher, I'd say. I spent 5 years under him, and we had a lot of fun. You know, there was always something to be discussed, or lots of jokes to be made. Alan likes practical jokes, so we did a lot of that. There were many life lessons learned as well. It wasn't just schoolwork that was taught. Alan was very good with teaching us about, you know, just the practical things of life and giving us many, many words of wisdom, as Megan said. Thank you for being an awesome teacher throughout those years. I will admit it was very strange going into this last year of school without Alan as my teacher. Having Nick was a very different experience. I wasn't sure about it at first, just because, you know, new teacher, it's strange, but it was actually very, very enjoyable. It was a good year, and I really appreciate everything that you did for us. With Nick, you dive into all the different angles of things. You see the fun, quirky things that not everyone looks at, and so it's very interesting. And, you know, one thing we realized is we're never, ever going to understand the way that Nick thinks, because we slaved over his riddles this past quarter, and it was a struggle sometimes, but we got through it. I feel like there are many, many stories I could tell concerning our school years. Most of them would be pretty chaotic. But honestly, when I went to try to think of them, I could not remember any of them, except for a few. So, as mentioned in some previous speeches, we had a physical science class, one that was pretty memorable, with Megan. She, you know, apparently her understanding of physics is slightly skewed. We had a question one time that if you had a plane that was flying along and it dropped, say, a bomb, would the bomb keep going and hit its target? You know, Megan just, I don't know what happened, but she decided that if you dropped it, it would just fly backwards on its own, go somewhere, I don't know. It was very interesting. We've never really let her forget that one. There are many, many stories involving our class times. Our algebra, chemistry, biology, and history classes were all my favorite. They could get pretty chaotic. I think we talked about everything except the subject. We spent many, many hours studying history these past 2 years, and it was very enjoyable for me. The competition could get pretty heated at times. I would say, though, I think we all know who the ultimate winner is in history. So just leave it like that. I got to teach 8th grade history this past year part-time. It was a very fun experience for me, so also thank you, Austin, for helping me with that. It was very eye-opening and a very stretching experience. I really, really enjoyed it. A couple things that I think about as favorites from my school years would be bus rides, sleepovers, history classes. The Christmas parties at Allen's Place are always so much fun, and we played so much Talktionary these past couple of years. I would say we're pretty good at that. Yeah, and of all the things that happened in school, the one that remains at the top of the list for my family was the tale of the ducks. My mom kind of requested that this be put in my speech, so we got ducks when we were in Lois's classroom to be our very own. My beloved ducks were my pride and joy. I took utmost care in babying them along, even if it meant risking the cat's life. I think I would have kept them forever, you know, but alas, the dreadful day arrived when they were very tragically taken from this life. The sorrow was very real that morning. As a young girl, my ducks were very precious. It feels a bit surreal to be thinking that I'm standing here graduating. This feels like it's been a very long time coming. It's strange to be moving on from this part of life because it's all that I've known so far. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to miss school, really. I'm very excited to move on. To quote Bilbo, "It's a dangerous business going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to." I feel like that's kind of fitting for where we are now. We don't really know where we're going. At least most of us don't. I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. I have a couple things I'd like to do in the future, but for now, we're just going to be going with the flow. I will say, though, I think I'm quite ready for another adventure.
Well, good evening. It was a joy and honor to be here. It was great to be here, to sit there and watch you guys. It's awesome. As I think about these 4 graduates, I have a lot of things I could share, and I decided not to go there because I didn't know where to end with and a lot of you shared some practical things, so I'm going to go more into a more serious note, if I may. As I think about what you have accomplished in life in the 5 years you were in my classroom, and this past year with Mr. Nick's classroom, I remember as you came into my classroom as those 7th graders, the girls were very silly and dramatic, which I'm not dramatic. In fact, I can't see drama. I'm more practical. And Logan was this mischievous young fellow that I never knew if he's ever going to settle down and accomplish any work. Izzy was the level-headed one of the group, I must say. Still so competitive, wanting to win. And as I watched you guys grow in 4 years, and now this is your 5th year or 6th year, I forget, you still are silly girls, but you're more mature silly girls. And Logan, you're still a mischievous imp I've ever seen, but you're more mature and you have tempered that. I appreciate that. Izzy, you're still the level-headed one of the class. You just are. You're just, guys, think about it. And you're just, you're the level-headed one, yet so competitive. And it's been just pure joy. I love to watch young people grow and mature. So interesting to see that. And as I think about life, you guys have in your short life of 17, 18 years, you've accomplished a lot of things. And now, you realize that you have made a mistake here. You asked me to do the commencement speech, and I have got years of information packed that I'm just ready to load on you. You asked me to share in 10, 15 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to do an hour's worth in 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. But I'll do my best. I'm going to talk really fast. Okay? But one thing, you've learned a lot of things. You learn how to crawl. Your parents remember how you learn how to walk one step out of the next. You learn how to talk, and you never have stopped since. You have learned, and you have failed. You have learned many things. You have learned how to feed yourself, which your parents were thankful for. You've learned how to ride bike, play sports, play games. You've learned a lot of things. You came through school. You've learned how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, algebra, and though your scores didn't really show that, well, yeah, I'm sorry, they did. Your algebra, you guys did really, really well. I will tell, their algebra scores were probably one of the best algebra scores as a class that I've had. Must have had a good teacher. But anyway, you've accomplished so many wonderful things. But now as you sit here tonight, I guess as I'm thinking of what, outside of accepting Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, this is one of your greatest accomplishments, is sitting here accepting the diploma and you've graduated from school. It is a great accomplishment. I congratulate you for that. Tonight I want to share a few things for you, 4 things that I know you're going to forget everything I say, but for just now, at least, you're listening. It's very rare that you do listen, but for now, we are going to listen. First thing is that I want my wishes for you, my prayer for you is that you would understand and know that God has great plans for you guys. Okay? He does. He has great plans for you. They might not be plans like designing an airplane or flying a plane through the air or walking on the moon. They might not be a great scientist. The plans might not be you will be a president of the United States. It might be, but probably not. It might not be a plan that you're going to rescue hundreds of people in a burning building while everybody else is running out, you're running in. You might, but probably not. You're probably not those plans, you're not going to be great plans that you will have to maybe find a cure for cancer. Likely not. You may, but probably not. You understand? It's not going to be something that everyone in the world is going to recognize. But God has great plans for you. I want you to understand that and never forget it. God has great plans for you, Izzy, for you, Megan, for you, Logan, and for you, Reagan. He's got great plans. They include more important things that we can't always see. They're not always tangible. They're things that can't always be touched. But they don't always make sense to you, but God has great plans for you. Get that etched into your mind. Think about in the Bible time to the people of Judah when God sent a letter to the elders of the exile, the prophet Jeremiah, and he said this, "For I know the plans I have for you. I know the plans for peace, for welfare. I know the plans, and they're not for evil, to give you a future and to give you a hope. I have great plans for you." Israel, the tribe of Judah, was in exile at this time. They were not able to see where these great plans were coming from, what they're going to lead to. They were under oppression. But God said, "I have great plans for you," and they were fulfilled. God had those plans. So God has big plans for you. The second thing I want you to understand, or I wish for you, is to know that you have the power and the ability to affect or make a difference in the lives around you. You are impactful and very much influential in your lives. And you're like, "Well, I'm 18, I'm 17, I'm 18. How am I going to, look at these people, these older people. They're the ones that are influential." You are influential. You have the power. For example, if you think I have a lot of influence, I want you to, don't. Pull out your phones and you go to your contact list or your social media pages, and I guarantee you, young people, you have a lot more influence than I do. Because when I open up mine, I have very few followers because I'm very boring, and nobody wants to follow me. But you guys have oodles of them, and you interact with probably more people in one day through your phone apps than I do in a week. Now, some of you are different, but I'm just saying, young people, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives. You have the power to interact with lots of people in your lives. What are you doing with it? Understand the difference that you can make. You're about to learn as you walk out of the classroom into life outside of the classroom how consuming life and busy life really is. You thought you were busy? Get ready. Get ready. In fact, you're going to be so busy that next time you look up, it's going to be the next decade. Not quite, but that's exactly what it seems like sometimes. We look up and wow. So you have to understand, but you want to affect people. If you don't affect people, if you're too busy to find time to affect that one person that needs you, then you're too busy. Change your life. There is nothing more important. Well, there is, but there's very little things that are more important than being effective and making a difference in people's lives. Take time to do that. Apostle Peter tells us that Jesus went about doing good, and I don't think he was just looking and sitting around waiting for it. He was looking for it, and when he found the opportunities to do good, he did it. He did good. When you see someone in need, go help them. When you hear about someone that is, a little bit socially awkward, go talk to that person. When you see someone that is having a bad day, say something nice to them. When it looks like somebody is having a bad day that needs just a pat on the back, be that person that gives the pat on the back. Love those that are unlovable. Buy a cup of coffee for someone. If they don't like coffee, get them Coke. If they don't like Coke, get them a glass of water. If they don't like that, get them Mountain Dew. It'll work, I guarantee it. But find something. Do something for that person. Buy something. Make a difference in your life. The third thing I want you to understand, or I wish for you, is that glorify God in all that you do. In all that you do. Your life is like an instrument. And it's not an instrument that's going to get strummed or that you get to pick. But your life is an instrument that needs to be used to honor and glorify God. Everyday mundane things. When you are on the job, and you mentioned you're going to go construction work. I don't know what you addressed it, I don't think you said. But you're going to probably have jobs that are going to be mundane. I guarantee you it's going to get boring, and it's going to get old, and you're going to get sick and tired of that job. We've all been there. But remember, glorify God. Okay? Glorify God. Your mission is to glorify God. When you're hanging out with your friends, and you're doing crazy stuff that only seems like a good idea when you're a teenager, glorify God in that. When God is bringing a test to your life, that you have no idea how you're going to get through it, remember, glorify God, and they'll come. When you're tempted to do things that are not for the glory of God, step back, take a deep breath, glorify God. When in the future you're going on a date, if that ever happens, to that boy or that girl that just makes your heart race, remember, glorify God. Everything you do, glorify God. When you sit down to eat a meal and your friends are all gobbling food faster than Usain Bolt can dash 100 meters, just remember, glorify God. Just stop. And when your peers are pressuring you to do things that you don't feel you're comfortable doing, remember, glorify God. It'll answer a lot of questions. Glorify God in everything you do. The fourth thing, seek heaven. It goes right with the third one. Seek heaven in everything. Seek heaven daily. We seek a lot of things in life. It's amazing to me what we seek. We seek pleasures. We seek happiness. We seek riches. We seek glory. We seek honor. We seek, you can name it. We seek things. We like to be satisfied. Popularity, honors, respect, we seek these things, but there are things that aren't really important. My wish for you is that you would wake up every day and seek heaven. What does that look like? What does it look like to seek heaven? I believe Paul summed it up very adequately in Philippians 2:3. You serve others until you cannot serve anymore. You serve until you are out of your, till you have, it's what you do. Again, it comes back to what I've been saying. You serve people. You serve God, you serve people through that. So that's my hope and prayer for you, that you would seek heaven on a daily basis. 4 things I wish for you: that your eyes would be open to the big dreams that God has for you in your life, great things. That you may truly make a difference in the lives of those you encounter. And that you may each seek to glorify God in everything you do. And that you may wake up each day and make it a passion to seek heaven. And if you do that, Laura, Logan, Israel, Reagan, and Megan, you will be a success in life, in the kingdom of life, in God's kingdom. I also pray that you will have enough trials in your life to keep you humble and seeking God and on your knees. That you will not become too proud of your accomplishments. I also pray and hope that in those trials and tribulations and those tests, that you're surrounded yourself with friends and family that can help you through those times. You're going to need it. May you truly find acceptance and honor in serving the Lord Jesus Christ. So again, as I said earlier, you probably won't remember much of anything I said here tonight, but one thing I want you to remember, it was a great honor to teach you. I love you guys. There's only a few classes that I said you were one of my favorites, and you're one of those. And it was a privilege to have been your teacher. I will never forget you guys. And you will always have a special place in my heart. I think I can speak to everyone, your families included, in the church here, and everyone included in your churches, that we look forward to watching you grow and become young men and women that are pillars in the community and the kingdom of God. So may God bless you. Good luck. Whatever you do, I pray that you would do it zealously and energetically. May God bless.
All right, thank you for sharing. one thing that I got from what Alan was saying was, do it for God's glory, and it'll all come out good. So I think that is each one of your goals is to seek God's glory in your lives. And we hope as you go from here that you continue to do so. It's hard to believe that school is over. 1 year of school, and it's come and gone, and before we know it, it'll start again. But we'll enjoy it, a little bit of vacation while we can. I guess no more vacation for you guys. Welcome to the real world. All right, we do have some food prepared. I should say food. Some desserts prepared over there for afterward. And were you guys planning to stand by your tables over there? No? Yeah? Well, I figured maybe if you'd stand there, people go through there, they can talk to you there. Either way. Okay. We'll see. I'm not sure where they're going to be at. They might be hiding. But, yeah, the food is getting prepared right now, so they're getting it ready. So it should be ready shortly. So we'll have closing prayer, and then we'll head that way. So let's bow our heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for these 4 graduates.